Live from downtown Salt Lake City, this is 2 News at 9.
A Utah man dies after summiting the world's 7 highest peaks. What went wrong in his final moments? Some crazy video tonight showing the aftermath of a truck that falls through a parking garage floor. What authorities say happened. And abortion, a hot topic here in Utah and on the campaign trail, where our lawmakers stand just ahead. Thanks for joining us for 2 News at 9 here on KJAZ. We're now learning more tonight about the Utah man who died while climbing Mount Everest. 55-year-old Don Cash from Sandy was part of a 15-person expedition. New information from Cash's Sherpa team tonight. They say that he fainted at the summit. Guides immediately did CPR and tried to get him down as soon as they could, but a traffic jam of climbers had them waiting for 2 hours.
Sherpa crews say they did their best to save Don's life. I spoke with some of Don's friends today. They tell me this was his lifelong goal, conquering the world's 7 summits. Mount Everest was last on his list. Friends didn't want to go on camera, but they told me Don loved his family most of all. He was a wonderful father, husband, and grandfather. He had a love for the Utes and classic cars. Don is described as a pioneer in Utah's tech industry. A former coworker told me Don helped build Omniture, a major tech company that brought Adobe to Utah. I spoke with Don's bishop today, who's been in touch with his family, and they've asked for their privacy.
Well, Don is one of 12 climbers who've died in the Himalayas this spring. Because of the conditions, they were forced to leave his body on the mountain. We know of at least 2 other Utahns who are currently climbing Everest. Coming up tonight on 2 News at 10, we hear from Don's good friend about how he's coping and his thoughts on his friend's untimely death. Right now, a first look at weather, and there is still severe weather we're talking about, not just in Oklahoma, but in Missouri now.
Absolutely. Look at this line, which is working its way across the midsection of the country. We just learned about 45 minutes ago of a confirmed tornado which worked its way just on the north side of Joplin, Missouri. This is the 8th anniversary of that huge tornado that tore through Joplin. And you can see that this, which was a confirmed tornado, we really don't have many damage reports as of yet, but it went just to the north of Joplin about 7:30, 7:45 earlier tonight. I'll zoom in just a little bit more and you can see that very powerful thunderstorm cell which did produce a tornado moving through northern Joplin. Back here at home, scattered showers across the state of Utah. Still seeing a few of those here across the Wasatch Front, mainly on the west side of the valleys and over toward Tooele Valley. Also some down towards southern Utah. Low pressure system is sitting right here with the counterclockwise flow around that low. That means an easterly gradient. Winds beginning to pick up a little bit for Cache Valley and Brigham City. They'll continue to pick up overnight. Wind advisory in place through 1 o'clock tomorrow. Coming up, we'll talk about just how strong these winds are going to get tonight into early tomorrow morning. Plus, we'll talk about what to expect for the Memorial Day holiday. It's all coming up in a few minutes.
Lindsay, thank you. New tonight, Salt Lake City police need your help to identify an assault suspect. These are pictures. They're dark, but you can see them there. Police released them earlier this evening. We're told the victim suffered serious facial injuries after being assaulted by the man on your screen. If you know who he is, you're asked to call Salt Lake City Police. And police in Bountiful are now looking for this guy, wanted in an attempted burglary case. They posted these pictures just a few hours ago, hoping you might have some kind of information. If you do, you're asked to reach out to police on social media or give them a call. Mexican drug cartels are operating right here in Utah. Undercover agents tell 2 News Utah is a strategic part of the criminal network. Jim Spiewak found out why it is such an easy place to sell drugs here in Utah.
Heidi, the many experts I spoke with for this report tell me the cartels know Utah is an easy place to sell cocaine, heroin, prescription pills, and meth. Since 2012, a Utah task force has seized about $100 million in drugs right here in the state. But the man in charge of that task force says they can get even more. He says the cartels purposely avoid states like Idaho that have much tougher laws and sentences for convicted criminals. Take a listen to what he had to say.
It's called money. And it's also called that Utah, in my opinion, is not strong enough on these folks that are big distributors.
I also learned that some inmates learn to become better drug dealers and drug runners while in jail and prison which the cartels bank on when they get out. Now, tonight on 2 News at 10, you will hear about the inner workings of this criminal network as told by a man accused of working with the Sinaloa cartel. That's coming up tonight on 2 News at 10. Heidi?
All right, disturbing news there, Jim. Thank you. A 16-year-old boy has now been charged with child abuse homicide in the death of a 4-month-old baby that he was watching. The young child was found unresponsive in a West Valley City home May 7th. According to court documents, the child's cousin was babysitting at the time. An autopsy revealed the infant died from severe brain trauma and had bruising on the head. A Heber City man has now been arrested on 20 counts of exploitation of a minor after his iPod was found with child pornography images on it. According to the probable cause statement, that iPod was turned into police after finding that child pornography. Through a search warrant and forensics, police were able to find out who it belonged to. Johnson now being held in jail on $200,000 bond. New at 9, crazy video out of New Jersey showing the aftermath where a dump truck fell through a concrete barrier there at a parking garage. The video shows that the truck was standing on its end after plunging through the top level into the level below. According to police, the dump truck weighed about 80,000 pounds. The weight limit was only 6,000 pounds. Officials say the driver of the truck suffered a minor injury and is now facing charges. Right now, the NTSB is investigating another deadly plane crash in Alaska. According to the Coast Guard, a Cessna plane crash landed in Prince William Sound. Crews did rush to the scene late Tuesday, pulling 3 people from the water, one of which died. The other 2 are in the hospital tonight.
They said sometime during the touchdown, the right float dug in, the airplane cartwheeled a number of times, right wing was severed, and the airplane came to rest inverted upside down.
Just last week, another Taquan plane collided mid-air in that same area, that aircraft killing 6, one of which was brought up here in Utah. Taquan Air has now grounded all of its flights. In Oklahoma, communities are now in danger tonight as torrential rains have forced hundreds from their homes. Flooding and the threat of more severe weather loom heavy tonight. Right now, the Cimarron River is at 37 feet, which is 9 feet above flood stage. Officials say the river is expected to rise another 4 feet by Friday before levels can even begin to fall. Flooding is currently being blamed for at least 3 deaths. Tonight, states all across the country have either passed or are now considering controversial laws restricting abortion rights. The issue is becoming a big part of many Democratic presidential hopeful campaigns who see this as an opportunity to invigorate their base and critically important voting bloc, women.
For so long, women have been leading this fight, shouldering the burden of making sure that their reproductive rights are protected. It's time that all of us join them in this fight.
Apparently wants to have a war on women in America, and if this is a war that he wants to have, he will have it and he will lose it.
In addition to Beto O'Rourke and Kirsten Gillibrand, Senator Cory Booker is vowing to create a White House Office of Reproductive Freedom to safeguard reproductive rights and access to health care. Senator Mike Lee is one of 25 conservative senators asking the Senate Appropriations Committee to preserve all existing pro-life and religious freedom protections in all future appropriation bills. The letter in part reads, "The unborn are the most vulnerable members of our society, and yet they are under attack. This is a terrible tragedy, and we must continue to prevent federal funding from supporting the unjust practice of elective abortion." The letter comes a day after abortion ban protests were held here in Utah and across the country. A Utah County Commissioner, Nathan Ivey, says it's time for him to be honest with his family, his friends, and his community. Today, he released a video announcing that he is gay. Ivey says he's always felt different since he was 9 years old and tried to commit suicide in his early 20s. Ivey tells 2 News he is still committed to his family, his faith, and his freedom, though he and his wife will be parting ways and parenting their children still together. Coming up here on 2 News at 9, some of Utah counties comes in at the top of a list for job creation. That list out today, how they compare to the rest of the country. And Utah's deadliest days are just ahead. What officials want you to do to stay safe behind the wheel.